We're continuing on with this scene of a boat docked in Portland, Maine. We worked on the actual boat last time, working on the proportions and some of the detail of the boat, and saving the reflection part till this week. In the interim, I refined this drawing a little bit, putting in a little more detail, getting the lights and darks punched up a little bit, and I made some choices about what to put in the picture. I decided I didn't need to show the detail of the dock. I even decided not to show the smaller boat in the background. I decided the size of this drawing, that the simplicity of just this big boat was nice enough, good enough for the composition. As a matter of fact, I liked the uncomplicated feature of that. And the reflections are a lot of fun. They're like shadows. They can be a lot of fun, but they're often overdone. And if they are overdone, they overwhelm the image that they're reflecting, and it is not as pleasing an image. I did one earlier by putting a piece of paper over here to work on it, because I never get it the first time. I usually have to work on it again, and I wasn't all that pleased with this one. This came down a little bit too far, and I felt like I had put in too much tone in there. And on that question of tone for water, it isn't necessary to fill in tone, even though you see how much darker the water is here than the sky. It wasn't necessary to put any tone to indicate the sky, and even though this is quite dark along here, there are ways to indicate water with just line work. For instance, this very nice drawing, especially the way the waves are overlapping over the bottom of the boat, and just these few markings indicate that there's water. So there's a variety of ways to indicate water with greater simplicity. So I started this reflection again, and I like it a little bit better, but I think it needs a little more detail. I put a lot of it down with this broken off piece of graphite because I wanted to get a bunch of tone down. I think right in here I can make it a little sharper contrast. I want to keep in these squiggly things from the dock because that gives it a nice dimension, but I think I want to show a better edge along here. I don't want to make it too sharp though, because the water gives it that strange broken in look. And then along here, I think I can go a little bit darker and define that edge, but it's even more indistinct. So I want to be careful not to actually draw that edge, or I won't have the reflection effect that I want. So it's a matter of sort of going back and forth, stepping back to kind of evaluate. I think there can be kind of a sharper edge. Again, a distinction between the light area of the reflection, which is actually, this is much darker than the white of the boat. So I want to make sure I don't have it as white as the boat, because again, that won't be a very true to life reflection idea going on there. And so I've put in a little more tone. I'm not happy with those edges. I think they're a little more frayed. That's the only word I can think of. So I'm going to try going in with this eraser, which is a little bit sharper than the kneaded eraser. You can see that. And see if I can get an interesting edge going on here. And because this is graphite on paper, I can just keep working at it and changing it as I go along. I think maybe one, see how my time is. I think I can make this a little more defined, and that might help my edge there. And I'm leaning over my camera, so it's not a great... That's a little bit too strong. So again, I'm going to come back in and pull that back a little bit. So this is really an opportunity for getting effect and impression of... Well, there's something not quite right, and I think it's this edge down here. So if I continue on, I think that's where I'm going to focus, right along there, and see if I can match that shape. Now, for those who are not going to continue with the boat, I promised another picture. So this is a reflection also. This is from a picture at the Botanic Gardens a couple of weeks ago, and I love the reflection on the water. And I sort of started, these are much softer edges, not as much detail as the boat. But again, if we turn this upside down, we can see the contrast, how sharp the tree line edge is as compared to the reflection, which is very soft, very indistinct. And then this nice pine tree in the front gives an opportunity for detail, which will make the reflection, the softness of the reflection, even more believable. So after getting down some of the idea here, I would then go in and start getting some nice defined edges and dark shapes of the trees, as well as an edge there to the water line, so that the softness of this reflection will read as a reflection. And again, down here on the reflected part, I wouldn't need much in the water to indicate the ice, maybe just a few streaks. And then on the reflected part, I could go much darker. And if this is nice and soft down here, and then the tree indications are a little bit sharper and more defined, it should read as a reflection. So again, I would go back and forth working on my tones and shapes.